Hi guys, it's me, Miss Manifester, helping you open a spiritual doorway to the abundance that you deserve. Today we're going to be talking about grief. Grief is something that is not talked about very much in Law of Attraction, mainly because the focus is so much on the positive, but grief is something universal to us all that we'll all experience. And it was the topic of my talk at my You Deserve Abundance event the other day. So I just kind of wanted to recap on that, some of the reflections that have come out of that event for people, and to go over a little bit about what I talked about on the day. Before we get started, guys, I want to say a massive thank you because this week we hit 4K subscribers. Thank you so much. Obviously, I couldn't do it without you guys who are watching. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, make sure that you click the subscribe button and hit the bell for me to get a Law of Attraction video every Tuesday. Let's get started. So when I was putting my event together, the topic of grief was probably the last thing on my mind, the last topic that I ever thought that I would be talking about. When I booked the venue, I really wanted a December date, but that didn't happen, and the first available date was the 11th of January. This is a really important date for me and for my family because on the 11th of January 2006, we lost my mum at home. I wasn't able to go into this much detail at the event because there was so much emotion and adrenaline going on in the room and through me. It was just way too much to go into detail, but it's a little bit different when you're just talking to you guys through a camera. So on the 11th of January, came home from school. The lights were all off, but the TV and things were still on. My mum had had an accident at home where it looked like she'd fallen down the stairs and hit her head. She was still classed as obviously alive at the time, but effectively she'd had a brainstem injury and she wasn't alive. You know, her soul had left the house that she was in, and she went off to the hospital, and then obviously we got the news. We'll never know if she fell and that was what caused the accident, or whether she had a stroke or whatever. We'll never know that, and that is just something that I have to be completely at peace with. But that was a really important date for me, the 11th of January, obviously for that reason, and I felt that I was being guided to book it especially for that reason, and that she was going to be with me on the day. A few days after that, I then lost my dog Olive really unexpectedly, which threw everything out of whack. You know, it put me really out of action in terms of planning the event for the month, even though I just started. And then I went on a journey where I was grieving, and I was having to use the Law of Attraction to get me through this process. And when I lost my mum, obviously you guys know that I was brought up in a Christian household. That belief system was extremely comforting to me. I don't know what I would have done without that belief system, thinking and believing that she had gone on to another place. However, although I believed that, I didn't feel that sense of relief and connection to spirit that I have now, and I carried that throughout my whole adult life up until I had my spiritual awakening with Law of Attraction. So this time around with Olive, I had to say, right, okay, what road are we going to go down with this? And this is the thing with grief is a really natural emotion. The tears that come out when you are grieving are perfectly normal. You should not be trying to bottle those up, because your tears are you releasing that resistance. They are extremely healing. So please do not be afraid to cry. If you're going through something and people are saying, well, you have to be positive, especially if you're in a Law of Attraction circle and people are telling you just need to be positive. You are allowed to feel this way. You have to honor these feelings. You are feeling them for a very, very, very good reason. The analogy I gave at the event that Spirit gave me is that we are all souls. Everyone that has passed on and everybody that is alive now, we are all souls, but the ones of us that are still having our physical experience are in houses. We are in our body, which is our house, and we have the veil that separates us from the physical and the non-physical. And I said that The image I had was that the veil is those like granny net curtains that you have in houses, and I actually still have some upstairs in my house. But when we come from beyond the veil and into our physical experience, we're often conditioned to forget and reject where we've come from. So imagine you've got your net curtain. Some people will then put a blind down and they'll pull the curtains across, and they will just completely shut out that connection to spirit world that we can all have. And that was a message at the event, that no one is special, no one is more worthy or able to connect to spirit than another person. We are all able to have that connection. And that is why you'll see synchronicities, because that is your angels, your guides, giving you signs, giving you encouragement, and trying to get your attention, because that is their way of trying to communicate with us, especially when we're coming into a spiritual awakening and we haven't had that experience before, but it gets our attention. I see so many of you saying, I'm seeing this, and that is because there is a message for you, and there is a communication from your angels or your guides or your family for you. So Abraham Hicks talks about grief as being a disconnect from source and a disconnection from who our inner being knows that we truly are. Abraham Hicks uses the emotional guidance scale as your indicator about where you're at, and using your emotions as an indicator about how you're feeling vibrationally. But one thing I would like to say is that you can still manifest from a place of grief. The first time that I went viral on YouTube and a load of you guys came over, I was right in the middle of that grief process, and still amazing things can come out of that, because you're still worthy of abundance no matter what you're going through, especially if you're going through grief. That does not make you unworthy of being able to manifest, but you do still have to find a way gently to work your way up that emotional guidance scale. You have to choose self-love for yourself in whatever way that looks like, being gentle with yourself and making positive choices. But if you then go to bed at night and you cry, that's absolutely okay. Like I said, it's healing. The positive choices and the choosing good for yourself is what is going to lift you out of grief. That is why with Law of Attraction, it is about making positive choices and choosing, making an intention and making a decision that you are going to feel better about something, but taking your time. It's not realistic to think I'm going to go from feeling depression straight up to feeling joy. It takes time to release that. And I just want you to remember that if you're going through a grief process, or you know that you're going to be going through a grief process, my heart goes out to you. It's not easy, but you will get through it. But just remember to choose positivity for yourself in whatever form that looks like. It's natural to miss somebody, because Abraham says that we are all source energy. We're all source energy in a physical body. When you are connecting to each other, you are feeling that love, you are feeling that connection to source through that other person. So when that person leaves your physical experience, suddenly you're left without them. But what the universe showed me through my dog passing away, I've always felt like I'm very independent as a person. But when she left, and on the nights when my daughter wasn't here, I felt truly alone. And the universe put me in that position of being physically alone to teach me that I am never spiritually alone. I always have source's love available to me. I don't need another person to make me feel loved, to make me feel that connection. Of course it's a blessing. Of course it's an absolutely wonderful experience and a beautiful feeling that I nurture and treasure when I'm with others. But that love is always available to us through source. We have our family watching over us. We have our angels. We have our higher self. You are never truly alone. And Abraham says that we can connect with them if we are on the same vibrational wavelength to them. So whether you're someone that has lost someone dear to you, or sadly you know that you're going to lose somebody, I just want this video to remind you that even when they're gone from the physical, even when they have left their house that his spirit has given them in their physical body, they are still with you. They are still energy that goes on. Life is eternal. We are eternal beings, and we are just going back to the place that we came from. And it's universal. It is certain. We are all certain to be born, and we are all certain to pass on. So I would like to encourage us to try and look at death more as a celebration of the person's physical life and what they achieved and the beautiful times that we had with them, but also a celebration that they have gone on back to their eternal nature, back to their vibrational nature. And they will always love you and they will always be with you. And take your time with the grieving process. Use the emotional scale. I'll pop the link to it again below. It's absolutely okay to take your time to work up. Be gentle with yourself and give yourself what you need. And although no one is asking you to put on a smile and be super happy every day and act like nothing has happened, using law of attraction to make positive choices for yourself is going to help raise your vibration, and it will help take you through the grief stage. And remember that your family, your loved ones, your friends, they would never ever want you to stay in a place of grief constantly just because that they have passed on. They want you to live your best life. So guys, I know this isn't something I would normally talk about on my channel, and that it's normally tips and tricks and strategies for getting the best out of law of attraction, but I know that at my event this created a lot of healing for people. They've accepted friends that they've lost to suicide, parents that have been lost. They've really shifted their vibration and had a breakthrough because they've released that hurt. So I still feel like that is going on for the collective, and that's why I wanted to share that with you. I just wanted to remind you of the universal nature of life and death, the duality that is the light and the dark, and that this is inevitable and this is a natural part of our physical and non-physical cycle. And I hope this video reminds you and gives you reassurance of our eternalness, the love that is always there for us to connect to, whether you're going through this process now or whether this process potentially might be coming up for you. I'm sending you loads of love, guys, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next Tuesday for another Law of Attraction video. Take care. Bye.